So you know what's up. You saw talent from the six. You know we had to get the rest of the world in the mix. The urban franchise, Tony Montana. Gonna sit at the desk for guessing. Show you what they're about to. Tell you who they are. Let them promote what they got going on. And show you guys how awesome they are. Cause if they weren't awesome, they wouldn't be on the show. It is down to talk with Tony Montana, baby. We have the most, and 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 we have the most. What is going on, peeps? I am the urban franchise, Tony Montana, and I'm joined once again by my special guest co-host, the bad guy, Manny Fresh. And today, we have one of the most entertaining actors in all of Toronto, original WGF roster member, Frank De Francesco.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me on the show today.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Tell the peeps a little about yourself.
A little bit about me. I don't know if I can say a little bit because there's so much. I'm an actor, as you mentioned. In the acting world, we do a whole bunch of other things. So I'm also a director, a writer, a producer. I like to say I'm also a badass, a model, all that kind of stuff. I tend to, even though I look like the scary guy and play the villains on screen, people are always like, you're such a different guy from off screen. So I'm also the goofy, fun guy. I shouldn't say goofy, but entertaining charisma guy.
Right on.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your origin story. Mm-hmm. What got you started in this industry? What sparked your passion?
Well, it's a good thing this belt is here because I did not want to be an actor to begin with. I wanted to be a pro wrestler. Mm-hmm. So when I started, it was I was going into high school and it's just like, how do I work on my microphone skills? Because that's what you need, right? Mm-hmm. So I took drama. And as I was going through high school, during that time, the WWE now, they were hiring more of the guys who are going to be like 6'5", 7 feet tall. And me being me, I'm like, I'm not going to grow that tall. They're not going to hire me. So a lot of people are like, Frank, you're good at this acting. Why don't you stick with the acting stuff? So that's what I did. There's a lot of hills and valleys, as I like to call it. Mm-hmm. But where I'm at now is a good place. It's a good place in acting.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you got into the industry. What was that moment where you got like that, okay, I am an actor now?
I think the first time I felt that is when I got my first agent. Mm-hmm. Because, when you get an agent, you're like, oh, now they're going to send me out for all these big things, right? and like when you're starting out, you're green. Mm-hmm. You don't know that experience. And you're like, oh, you're right. I have to work my way up the ladder before I can do these big motion pictures, right? Mm-hmm. But that was the first time it hit me. It's just like, oh, I'm being represented by... or I'm representing my agency. So it's just like, oh, this is a big deal now.
You're a professional, right? You're getting paid now. So
Yes, I'm getting paid.
Get up a different step,
that's true. But also at the same time, in this business, there's people who are coming in like students, right? So like sometimes for student films, if it catches my eye, I will do it simply because the concept seems fun for their film. So I like to get back in that sort of sense.
I'm going to jump into something that we touched on in Manny's. Are you union or non-union?
I am non-union.
Now, do you find that gives you more opportunities, or do you feel it hinders you in any way?
It's a tricky one to answer because, I'll speak from my experience. It gives me more opportunities because I can still audition for union roles. And if I do get picked, all I have to do is pay the permit for that one, right? Mm-hmm. And then obviously if I get more union gigs, I would go full union. But at the current time, I get to do, if a friend's just like, hey, I want to do this film, we can go off and do it without worrying about, oh, we have to be careful of union rules, right? Mm-hmm. Also, there's some times where I've heard friends who are full union and they're just sitting at home. They can't do anything but theater because theater is a different kind of union. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, I wish I was non-union because I can do this. So it's at the current time, it's for me, it's good not being non-union.
Okay. That's right. Also non-union, I guess you can do film challenges, anything that is not paid, right? There's certain guidelines. So yeah, I second that.
Sometimes some student films have that union contract.
That's true.
Right? So they can still get away with doing stuff. But it's just like, oh, this independent horror film, I can't do that because I'm non-union, right?
And they're exciting projects too.
Yeah, exactly.
So, why?
So you talked about you have other aspects in the industry you dabble in. Mm-hmm. Where got you started, and what are your goals there?
So the way it got me started was this was what a previous agent of mine. I noticed I wasn't getting too many auditions, and I was just sitting at home, and I went, "Well, why am I just sitting at home doing nothing? What resources do I have to put stuff together?" And I've always wrote or written. I wouldn't say books or anything like that, but I've written short sketches. I went, why can't I turn a sketch into a short film? And at the time, I still have it, like the old school HD cameras where, you flip it open and you record. I'm like, okay, I have a camera. Do I have an editing program? I do. Okay, perfect. Do I have lighting? No, but does it matter? Do I have sound? Doesn't matter. Let me just write something, get that off the ground. And that's how it sort of got rolling with writing and directing. The first couple of films, because I don't know how to, I shouldn't say edit well or, set the camera up well, which is completely fine with me because everything's a learning stone, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then eventually it got to, so this one film I did called Enchanted Mafia. It's about a mafia that's made up of the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, Cupid, all those characters, right? And it was just a short. And what I did was there's I played the Easter Bunny, obviously. So I was the boss. I was totally the Easter Bunny, huh? But we were sitting around the table, and this scene in, what movie was it? I think it was Goodfellas, where Robert De Niro plays Al Capone, and he pulls out the baseball bat, and he beats up one person. So I wouldn't call it a spoof, more like a homage to it.
Yeah.
That was part of the film where the Sandman tried to screw over the entire mafia. So did that. That to me got the most sort of views on YouTube there. And I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's not a lot of views," but it got 500 views. For me, it's just
good.
Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah.
There's how many pages are out there that has gotten 500 views total after 20 years?
Yeah.
So 500 on one video, don't let anyone tell you that's not good.
Exactly, right? Because of that, I created a 4-episode, a smaller web series about the Enchanted Mafia. And I brought in more characters, which is just Mother Nature. I brought in, even though, spoiler alert, even though I killed the Sandman, Easter Bunny kills the Sandman in the first kind of short film, the Sandman does come back. But if there's more characters that way, and then eventually it led me, again, working on another, I was just speaking to you just a couple of minutes, another web series I've done, because it was, 2020, everything, I'm not even going to mention the words, but you know what's going on, right? And it was just me and my sister sitting down at home going, what do we do? And I just went, you know what? I want to do a web series. Well, it didn't start off as a web series. I want to do a short about a film noir detective that chases after the supernatural and science fiction. So I did that. I did the first one, which was called The Call of Bigfoot. And because I was having fun filming that, I turned it into a series called Steel Dossiers. Right now, back in middle of February, the last episode of season 2 came out, which was based on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but also as a supplement to the dossier shorts themselves, I do a podcast based on each episode. So I go more in depth about the folklore or myth or legend that I use, and then I go behind the scenes of this is how we filmed this. Some creepy guy watching from the side was doing this, and all that kind of stuff.
All the DVD extras.
Pretty much, yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So out of all your short films you made, which one do you feel means the most to you?
It's interesting because no one's ever asked me that, but there's a little bit of everything. I can't pick one because the Steel Dossiers as a short is kind of the homage of, because I liked Ghostbusters growing up, so that's that supernatural. Oh, again, because it's wrestling. One of the shorts in the Steel Dossiers is actually based on The Undertaker. It's called The Phenom, right? I couldn't go too much in depth with The Undertaker because, I didn't even use the word Undertaker, but there's little nods to him in there.
Nice.
But so it's homage to Ghostbusters, to Undertaker, because I like the supernatural, that kind of thing. And then as I mentioned, Enchanted Mafia, because, I'm Italian, I look mafia. Although sometimes people think I'm different other races, but it works in the acting business, right?
Yes, true.
But that's more of like the goofiness side of me, playing the serious mafia Easter Bunny character because it's Italian, but also having fun with it.
Right on.
So I can't pick one. I can't pick one. Everything has something.
Everything has meaning. And that's the thing. When you're creating art, it's very hard to pick one of the things. It's all hard. A part of you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, like, you're a creative. I find one thing, if every creative I talk to, do you listen to every type of music?
Yes.
That's the key thing. When you can appreciate any type of art, you could take in any type of music.
Yeah.
What's the concert you've had the most fun at?
The concert? I don't go to too many concerts, but the thing that... So it wasn't in person, but the most fun I had was, I forget. It was at... it was a award show done in Russia, and the band's called Little Big. Yeah, I don't know if you two know about Little Big. There's, you said yes, you said no.
I don't know.
So did you ever see a video on Facebook where it starts off with a rooster crowing, and then all of a sudden there's people like walking like this?
Yeah.
That's that band.
Okay.
Right? Because when I saw that on Facebook, I looked them up. And then ever since then, like, you know, every kind of their song is just fun and hilarious to move to, right? And they did a 30-minute set at the award show here, and just like everything, the way the crowd was moving along, it just got me moving, even though I wasn't there physically. So that was I would say the best concert I've ever been to without being, right?
Right on. Yeah, anytime the music can actually physically move you,
you
know it's an amazing experience, live or at home.
Yeah.
So, this pandemic happened in the world, and many people during this pandemic became a COVID alkie. Are you in that category?
A COVID
where you just started drinking every day?
A COVID alkie.
Oh no, because I don't drink. So.
Okay, straight edge.
So straight, yeah.
Right on.
Like I will say, if it's cooked in food, I like beer and chili. I'll have beer battered something. I'll have, you know, you cook with scotch, all that kind of stuff. But like to drink it like that, I don't drink.
Now let me ask you this: I haven't met anyone in the industry that is straight edge. Have you found that's like? How do you feel at a certain events where everyone's having a drink and you're just like having a ginger ale?
I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's just like, if people are enjoying themselves, that's completely fine. If you're coming to insult me because of my drink, there's something a matter with, like, which I feel bad for, right? Because to insult people on anything is just like, okay, you're doing it because you're jealous, or you're trying to like, oh, this is the biggest guy in the room, you know, I have to like show my pride, right? But I'll go a step further, because you said like at events, because okay, I'm Italian, all right. But every time somebody finds out like I don't drink, they're like, but you're Italian, how can you not drink? And I'm just like, I just don't drink, right? Even like with cigarettes, I don't smoke cigarettes. And there's, you know, in the acting world, especially going through, well, I didn't go through it for university, but you know, the students, those acting students, they'll just smoke constantly, right? And they're just like, how can you not do that? I'm like, you know, I get my highs off of life.
Yeah.
And right? Performing.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing not to drink, by the way.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, you don't have to.
No. Yeah.
Right? And you just
got to
be happy
for that, because not a lot of people have that, especially in this industry. You see a lot of people with alcohol abuse issues in the industry.
Yeah.
For someone to actually be successful as you are, you're an award-winning actor, are you not?
Yeah. Yes.
To be able to come into this industry and succeed and not go down those paths shows how strong of a man you actually are.
Oh, thank you.
I absolutely respect that.
Thank you. You just remind me of a story of I did this theater show, community theater, but this guy would always have a shot of scotch before he goes on, and it's just like, oh, because when you're performing, you know,
it just calms his nerves or something.
It's something like that. His sort of tradition, which I don't mind, right?
Yeah.
But it also seemed like a couple of times I think he had more than one shot of scotch, and you could smell it when he would act, right? But you know, the show still was pretty good, so.
Right on.
Yeah.
So how long have you lived in Toronto?
Pretty much all my life. I was born here. I was raised here.
Yeah.
People are always like, you're from Toronto? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, it's so rare to meet someone here. I did move out I did move out for about 5-6 years. I like to call this my medieval times because of what happened during that time.
Yeah.
But I did live in, you ready for this, on the outskirts of Brampton and Caledon.
Ooh.
Right
See,
on.
look, the guy gets out of Little LD
Yeah.
too, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So you've been here long enough. You should be able to answer this question.
Oh, I know what's coming.
Uh-oh.
Do you know where is the best place in Toronto to get a Jamaican beef patty?
A Jamaican beef patty. Oh. The one that I know of,
Mhm.
I think it's near Bathurst Station.
Right
If
on.
not, it's in Bathurst Station.
What's the name?
I don't remember because I haven't been there in a long time.
Right on.
The only thing I will say, the people that should have a beef patty, don't just eat it. You have to open it and stuff it with stuff.
Absolutely. This man knows what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
I know.
He knows what
I
he's
know.
talking about.
I know, but because when I was like, we're doing it here, like in Kensington Market, I was like, oh, there's that Rasta pasta. I've always wanted to try it, but I haven't.
Oh, right on.
Ah.
So, my co-host always has a question.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have?
The bad guy.
A funky question. Actor to actor. Any roles you wouldn't do?
Any roles that
Or any restrictions? Some guys don't like riding a horse. Some guys don't want to get naked. Some
right.
guys don't kiss other guys or any sort of thing. Because, you know, we come across all these roles and all the
Yeah.
breakdowns too. So, and there's just one I saw this week. It's I think it's called it's like one of those dating naked shows.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
right
I've
after,
seen that.
and I'll tell you after who's doing it. But yeah, anything that is off limits.
I would say right now, anything that's like full nude, right? Because if it's like chest, fine. If I can be in my underwear, fine. If it's full nude, no.
Yeah, everybody's got their preference.
And then also, I wouldn't do like kissing another guy simply because I wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to act it. Let's just put it that way, right? And it's those limits because right now it's also the whole kind of like because I'm not high up where it's like Hollywood, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, you need me to ride a motorcycle? I'll do that, even though I don't know how to, right? Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah. I know how to do geometry, sort of thing. Like yeah. So those are the top two things I wouldn't touch. Oh, and it's also anything that requires me to put contacts into my eyes.
Oh really?
I have sensitive eyes. So when I first, a little story time. When I first started out, even the makeup artist doing like the brush underneath, I would shake. That's how sensitive my eyes were.
It's tough, yeah.
It's tough, right? Because it's like something coming at your eye. But then over time, this got a little better.
Yes.
And I know some people are going to be like, well, just practice. It's like, no. That's why CGI was invented.
That's right.
Do that.
So let's dial it back. Let's go back to the origin of your career.
Mm-hmm.
If the opportunity was there within the wrestling industry, what would have been your gimmick?
So it's I wouldn't say it's close to what I did for you, but the name would have still been Frankie D, and I would have been the silent type, right? Obviously heel, but I wouldn't like my whole gimmick would be I'm here for me. Anybody here did not help me get here, but me. Right? So I don't care if you boo me, good for you, but I'm going to show you that I can kick ass.
Right
sort
on,
of thing.
yeah.
And I would speak because when you picture that kind of dark sort of I shouldn't say dark, but that heel character.
Yeah.
As you can tell, my voice is a little higher. So when I would speak, I would do it as little as I possibly can and sort of deepen my voice a little.
Right on.
To sort of give it a little scare. I would almost compare it to what's his name, Dexter Loomis, but not the serial killer psycho part, but more like this guy's like
his TNA gimmick.
Yeah, that would be my gimmick.
I felt a little bit of like Jake the Snake, calm, composed.
Because to me, again, even when acting, I like to play the character as serious, as close, and with the little kind of. Like, I don't need to do the big expressions because the littleness is what draws everyone in, right?
Right on.
But when you're doing theater, you have to project.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So people, but like, that's the little kind of See, I could feel everyone just, even people watching through camera, just like focused because it's like so. Like, what am I gonna do? Kind of thing, right?
That's right. It's just the TV acting.
It's just drawing in, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So what if I told you I was looking for some heels? Because the WGF is back. Unlike when you were there, we actually have a belt now.
Ah.
So what's it going to take to get Frankie D back on the roster?
Well, it'll depend on schedule.
Right on.
I'll say that. It'll depend on schedule. And then, yeah. We'll be in here too?
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah,
Okay.
it depends on schedule.
Stay tuned, peeps. Frankie D will be back in the WGF. Now, what is your dream role?
The dream role to be in a Ghostbuster.
Really?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
What did you think of the new movie?
The new one, I loved it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I like, every movie has its flaws, obviously, because I know everyone's gonna be like, oh no, this has this, like yes, but this is what because the last Ghostbusters we saw, and I'm not counting the 2016 one, because if you're a true Ghostbusters fan, you don't. Yeah, see?
Absolutely.
But the last time we saw them was in like 89, 90, early 90s, is the second one. And for it to come back this way was the perfect way for it to come back.
I agree.
Right? Yeah. The whole storytelling, they did it, how everyone's just like, oh, they're going to give it to kids, so it's going to be, but what are you going to do? Like old men going, oh, the entire time? Especially with Harold Ramis gone. And the way they presented that. The only thing I would say, because it was Ivan Reitman's son who directed it, because in part 2, he played the kid when they do the He-Man party. He's like, you guys are full of shit. I wish he did a cameo where he kind of just went, my dad still thinks you guys are full. Like, just bringing that joke back.
That would have been brilliant.
But everything else was, like, the way it was set up and everything made sense of where the other 3 guys are now. Yeah. And what happened.
Right on.
It was perfect, yeah.
So is there anything you're working on right now you want to promote?
What I'm working on, I mentioned it earlier, right now, this past week, actually Wednesday, the latest podcast dropped. So it's the podcast, it's called Inside the Folder Podcast. Like I said, it's based on the Steel Dossier short that I did, series that I did. This Wednesday, the one that just was released was called Little Grays, which is about aliens.
Right on.
It was also about H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds and Orson Welles' radio broadcast of War of the Worlds, because the short I did, which is entitled Martian Invasion, that War of the Worlds influenced how I wrote that episode for the web series there. So I touch upon I don't know what to call the alien one, because it's not really folklore, like legend, let's call it legend. So I touch upon, like, they say they're from this planet, so many light years away. They say they're I touch upon Roswell. I touch upon another Benny and Barney Hill. Like, I go in depth there, and then I go in depth of how I film it. That one just came out, which was episode 10. The next one, next week's, is about voodoo. Ooh. Right? Because the short that I did for that is called The Kaplata Zombie, so that's based on voodoo. But if anybody wants to check it out, it is on Spotify. It's on Google Podcasts. Those are the audio versions. If you want to watch it video-wise, it's on Rumble. And then everything, obviously, I released those first, but then the following week, the video version will be released on YouTube, so you can check it out there.
Right.
Do you believe in aliens?
Do I believe in aliens? I do.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
What's your belief on them?
They exist. I will say they exist. There's a lot of... There's so many... I can go into like a whole thing, but there's a lot of different species, good, bad, and everything in between, right? But I think everyone's gonna be like, this guy's nuts.
No.
But I think they actually revealed themselves. You just need to know where to look.
Good answer.
Right on. So where can everyone find you on social media?
On social media, on Instagram, you can check me out at the Frank De Frank. On Facebook, my page, the Frank De Frank, as well. Obviously, those 2 links, you will find like my YouTube and other social medias there. As well, if you want to check out my website where it has everything, including my demo reels, I do believe, I should have remembered this. If it's thefrankdefrank.weebly.com or just frankdefrank.weebly.com. I use the in front of so many things that I forget which one's which.
Right on. Peeps, you'll be able to find all of Frank's links in the description down below. Thank you so much for joining us, Francesco.
Thank you.
Frank
De Francesco.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Stay good, peeps, and keep it blitz.
The rest of the world in the mix. The urban franchise, Tony Montana. Gonna sit at the desk for guessing. Show you what they're about to. Tell you who they are. Let them promote what they got going on. And show you guys how awesome they are. Cause if they weren't awesome, they wouldn't be on the show. It is down to talk with Tony Montana, baby. We have the most, and 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 we have the most.